Hey yo everybody, Hawk here today with another look at mob farms. Today in specific we're looking at the Hoglin and how to farm those for pork chops and leather. A very interesting new hostile mob, being one the only to give a very good steady food source. Of course you got rotten flesh, but that's not a good food source compared to these mobs. As we can see below, they are spawning in. So let's drop down and take a look at their conditions down here. So we have a 7 wide ring, basically, not radius because it's not from the center, but you have 7 blocks going out, and then we have the warped mycelium and then the warped fungus as well. The Hoglins are afraid of this warped fungus and will run away from it into the pit, or sometimes run around and then into the pit itself, being scared multiple times and then into it. We also have a ring of non-spawnable blocks, which is the glass, and then the soul fire torches, which scare the piglin as well into the pit to make sure they don't block up any mob spawns. Thirdly, we have the turtle eggs in the middle to attract zombie pigmen into the center to drop down below through that and all the way down. We have 2 layers of this farm for sake of testing, though you could stack more up in theory, though it would not be necessary. So since we discussed the basic mechanics of this, let's drop down below and check out the rates of the farm. So here are the rates of the farm. With a half hour of testing, we got 1 stack of nuggets, correction, and 1 stack of flesh, roughly, from the zombie pigmen that spawn, and 770 leather per half hour, aka 1400 leather per hour, along with 1,400 cooked pork chops per half an hour, almost 10,000 per hour, enough to provide basically a server, I would say, with that amount, which is pretty insane. We can see the collection system down here is just a bunch of hoppers, though. Hopper minecarts would work if you would want to move this up a few more blocks. It does not affect the rates too dramatically as long as it is built the same. So let's take a look at how this is built, and we'll take a look at layer 1 right above the hopper. So we have layer 1, which is this glass. We also have these glass pylons running up to block the hoglins from running out. On occasion one will land on here, but it's very rare. We could see a piglin just land on there as well. But if you want to make sure that none escape, you just build this solid, which isn't too big of a task, but these pylons are mostly efficient to prevent most of them. If we go back out, we can see the sign layer to keep the lava up is 29 blocks up from the hoppers, and the lava is 30 blocks up, a nice even 30. So if we fly over here, we have 2 sources on lava on either side, one here and one here, giving enough of a space for them to land, sit, and then drop all the way down before dying, which is obviously perfect. And then we have our first ring at 34, which is 4 blocks above the lava layer, and then our second layer 3 blocks up at 37, meaning all the mobs can go into where they need to be. And lastly, our final layer that is not labeled is all the way at the top of the world, which is where you will be sitting to make sure that none of the mobs spawn below you. By mobs spawning below you, I mean below the nether roof. We want them to spawn all above the nether roof, and this is as close as you're going to get, only loading the barely top of the nether roof. So you shouldn't get many, if any, spawns in the actual nether, not above the nether roof. I put this platform here so we can see the farm in action, and it still works pretty well, even with a little more below the nether roof loaded, because there's not many caves that high up. But I would suggest building it as high as possible just to make sure that you can get the best rates out of this farm, even though you don't need it at the best rates for the best Hoglin spawns. So that is it for the farm, but let's take a look at the Hoglins. As I said before, we need to give ourselves a quick effect of strength. And if you ever want to insta-kill something in your creative world, this is one way to do it. You give yourself the effect strength at 100,000 for 255, and you can just one-shot them. And we can take a look at our testing area. You'd want this farther away from the spawn so they don't spawn while you're loading that mob farm as well, which would also slow down the rates. So we have our Hoglins here. If we spawn them here, we got 2 babies in a row. They will run until they reach the gold block and eventually stop. So if we spawn one at this gold ore, we can see he still runs. But if we spawn one at the gold block, he will not. This is a 7 block distance, and that's why we had a 7 block ring away from the warped fungus to chase them off. So that they will run completely and then stop. Because if they spawn at the mob farm and spawn here, it'll take a while for their AI to pathfind this way and then run back. So we want to limit the amount of standing still space they have. I hope you all enjoyed this. If you did, make sure to stay tuned for more farms. I hope to do more in the future, and it was a pretty fun to take on this design as well. Though it may not be the most efficient, it is a very good starter farm to work out. So I hope you all enjoyed. See you guys later.